Hello, this is Dave, and welcome to Equity Story. I'm here with the Wolf, and we've been having a look this morning at a lot of stocks and things going around the world. And obviously, I've got to do the disclaimer here: everything is just general share advice and not personal advice. Wolf,
Yes.
Wolf. So on the weekend, I'll just talk about the markets in general.
Yeah.
So the Dow held up, right? I can handle that. The Nasdaq still held up, so I know it's been weak the last 4 weeks, and I know nothing's trending, but the general markets are still breathing, right, at the moment, yeah.
Yeah.
And our market, the ASX 200, is actually just slightly up now, but not only just 0.05% and holding trend. So, imminent collapse. Certainly, the signs are not there yet. They could be in a few days, but at the moment, so possibly we've still got. There's a possibility we could still have a Christmas rally. Now, it's going to look a bit unlikely because we're going to talk about a few things.
Yes.
And the first thing I want to talk about, Wolf, is you being Polish and everything. You've got a good understanding. You've been invaded by Russia a lot, but you're
And Germany
and Germany
and Hungarians and Austrians and Tatars,
I think
Sweden.
even the Amazons women.
Even the Swedes invaded us and conquered us. I mean, that's just, how embarrassing.
Yeah, I think even the Amazon women invaded you and conquered you. I mean, let's be honest, you're not very good at fighting. But in fact, that's not true. You had some great
But we're
pilots.
resilient, Dave. We're resilient.
Now, but the problem is you're seeing an issue at the moment. You've been looking at the news. You don't like what's going on at the moment with Ukraine and Russia. Just give me, and you've been talking to your friends back in Poland, just getting a feel of the situation. So, how serious is this? Do you think it's possible that Putin is going to try and take up maybe a bigger chunk of Ukraine?
Absolutely, it is possible. And listening to the top brass of defense in the US, very likely, right? That's what's building up to. Now, it depends where you read, of course, how serious it is. Everyone's got a different opinion and so on. But all you have to do is go back in history and see what happened not too long ago with Russia and Crimea, right? Where a similar scenario played out, talks, diplomacy. Not going to happen. A few months later, Crimea's annexed, right? Same sort of stuff is happening right now with the build-up. I mean, why would you be doing that unless you had some sort of ulterior plans? Otherwise, it makes zero sense. Ukraine, I think, is talking, I think that again, the top brass in Ukraine is saying that possibly Russia is looking to stage a coup or some sort of internal disruption, which potentially can destabilize the country. And that's going to be the sign for Russia to go for it, right? To get another chunk. What the motive or the whole plan of Russia, God knows, but they know that NATO is pretty weak. They never do anything. It's all about diplomacy and sanctions, which means really not much in the scheme of things when you can grab a piece of a country, right? In the long term. So, yeah, look, it's highly possible for me. Like we've seen it all before. That's probably the danger sign for me for next year is that conflict, if there is going to be one. So, yeah, it's not good for that part of the world. So Europe, Eastern Europe, one to watch for sure, 100%. I am generally, Dave, I am concerned. Normally I'm not concerned, but for the first time, I'm concerned about my own little country in Poland and what's going to happening around Ukraine.
Yeah, he's a smart cookie, Putin. He's an experienced, leader. I think he knows.
He's gone through about 4 leaders in the US, right, Dave? He's outlived them all, so he's done them all.
And he does look like you, Wolf. So he's obviously intelligent, right?
Yeah,
so
obviously.
Now, right now, Wolf. So okay, I don't think Biden, who's as wet as can be, is going to do anything if they invade, right? Sanctions, right?
Yeah.
That's the most he's gonna do.
Yeah, and wag his finger.
Yeah, and and I won't say what else, but so I can't. At the moment, England is sort of got its issues with Europe at the moment. I mean, Europe is looking pretty divided. throughout the whole picture. I mean, the French minister, what's his name, Macron, is coming out with very aggressive statements towards all the other partners in the EU at the moment. There's certainly, if you're going to go into Ukraine, maybe now
the time to do it. Absolutely. And the other thing is, Dave, you've got the East versus the West. In Europe, the Eastern European countries have got the strongmen in there with the right wingers, and you've got the France and Germany trying to unite everyone. It's not going to happen. So you've got divisions within divisions. So yeah, absolutely. What an opportune time for if anyone's going to do it now, or in the next few months.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's going to be the Ukrainian army is not small. I mean,
look, yeah, but they're going to be rolled over. They don't have the same arsenal. They don't have the same means. It's a poorish country compared to some other ones out there. So yeah, they're not going to stand a chance, to be honest.
All right, that's not good. Now, so
there's the possible conflict here. This is what I'm just trying to say. Be wary, be ready. If the market's
okay, so what have you done with your portfolio? If you think this is a realistic possibility next year, and I don't think it would be like next year because everyone's saying, oh, if he goes in, it'll be next year. It'll be, I mean, he'll try and surprise everyone, won't he? He might do it, tomorrow, for example, right?
It's a bit cold, I think.
What?
It's a bit cold, Dave. It's like trying to doing things during the winter is just definitely not a good idea.
Okay, so he'll wait.
You want to do it in springtime. So I'd say within 6 months, I'd say something might happen. But you never know, right? If anything, this is just my thoughts. What I'm seeing, what I'm reading, hopefully it doesn't happen. But if it does, say Dave, if there is, what do we do? What do we do with the portfolio? What do we do? Is there a stock we should be looking at? But I think for the moment, you sit tight, which we're going to talk about another issue that's happening at the moment. But I think play it by see what happens. I'm sure we're going to have signs, more and more signs that there's maybe conflict brewing, right? So hopefully we'll do it, and then we'll just probably sell some of the goods, some of the stuff that's maybe we need to take the money off the table. So I think that's leave that one to the side for the moment.
Wolf, I hate obviously when you talk about war to look at stocks where we might make money from and benefit, because that is disgusting and that is like typical like greedy finance people. But yeah, exactly. I'm going to do it anyway because that is our business, and and they're not trending at the moment. So these are the sort of stories that we maybe have on our watch list. Raytheon Technologies, RTX, obviously Lockheed Martin, and none of that, it's not trending at the moment. NOC, which is actually just holding above trend, Northrop Grumman Corp. BA, obviously Boeing, which aircrafts, and maybe a little bit, another interesting one is even hack. I mean, cyber warfare could these sort of stocks could have a little bit of a move higher.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, too early for that because I'm making an assumption that something's going to happen, and I don't think anyone else is. But I'll put up what I can see, what I can read.
Do you think Putin would do it at the same time that maybe China have a go at Taiwan?
No. I think this is very, very separate, and I think he's definitely planning something planning. The instability in Ukraine, possibly, maybe some sort of cyber attack as well. Just to make it even easier for him to just go in there and take what he wants. Probably, maybe a couple of cities, whatever. For the last 5 years, 6 years, he's probably already been doing some sort of backdoor deals and putting his people in Ukraine to destabilize the country. So we'll see. He always plays the long game. So I wouldn't be surprised if it happens. I would not be surprised because we've seen it from him before. So like I said, I don't want anyone else to be surprised. That's why I'm talking about it today.
All right, now we scared the living daylights, everyone. Can we talk about Rio's issue in Serbia? What has gone on there? Because there were millions of people. Was it 1 million people or something crazy like that? 100,000.
It was a big protest, wasn't it?
Protesting against their mine. Now, really,
Dave, haven't I already talked about this many, many times? Right, doing business in Europe, trying to get a mine up. That's new. That requires approvals from the locals. It is almost nigh on impossible because of the density of the population of Europe, right? Who wants a mine in their backyard. And I don't care what it is, gold, lithium, coal, uranium, whatever, right? It's always going to be pollution, noise, you name it. It's going to disrupt your way of living. So why on earth would anyone approve it over there unless you're obviously corrupt and someone's going to pay you, right? Bribe you. So it's going to be very difficult for, like you see, I mean, Rio is the one of the biggest bloody companies in the world, right? Mining, and they're having trouble getting this mine up. So I'm pretty sure they're pretty friendly with the Serbian governments, and the Serbian government's probably going, yeah, jobs. The local was saying, no, over our dead bodies, this is going to happen. So impasse, interesting to see what happens. Is there going to be a forcible removal of this? I don't know.
Because those protests were huge. You couldn't believe it just for a mine. Anyway, it's good to see that they obviously don't need the money and that the people there are sort of obviously doing quite well.
Yeah, well, the thing is, of course, people probably need money, but, you've got money versus lifestyle and health. Let me see which one's the more important, Some people decided it's lifestyle and health is more important than money, and good on them.
Wolf, that gives it the issue with VUL. Now, VUL Absolutely. In the heart of Germany is especially the Germans are like green.
Exactly, Dave, exactly. And, they're touting this is going to be a green lithium, whatever.
I don't, and you can see, it's actually
those local Germans. I'm going to go. I don't care, green or not green. It's not in my backyard. Thank you.
Well, I think there's a few shareholders look at those protests, and it's Vulcan's just gone below trend. So if it's there by the end of the week, you've got to get out for your money because if this mine doesn't get up, it's back down to 20 cents.
Hey, what I'm saying is it's going to be it's extremely, and I've talked about this before. It's extremely difficult to get a project up and going in Europe. It's extremely difficult because of all these issues: environmental, socio, economic, you name it, right? It's just very, very difficult. And people always go, you'll be right. This is Rio Tinto you're talking about. So if Rio can't get it up, can you imagine little Vulcan trying to get it up? Good luck.
All right. On that note, Wolf, so we see these sort of issues in Europe, and obviously if there is sort of any war in Europe, most probably would make those stocks harder as well. Now,
yep.
Let's talk about the crazy market.
Yeah.
So the market is just wanting to re-rate a lot of stories at the moment.
Yeah.
So Docu.
Yes.
Down 42%.
Yes. Can you believe this?
No, right. But just tell us how they reported.
Okay.
What's going on here?
All right. So let me just set a scene here because it is not just Docu. The tech sector is getting re-rated on the back of inevitable interest rate rises, which means the bond yields are rising, and which means the discount rates, going to go higher. So it means that the tech stocks or the high valuation stocks are not going to be as attractive. So they're probably going to be re-rated, and it's happening already. You can see the tech stocks in the US last week and the previous week, and probably this week. Looks like it's getting re-rated heavily, right? Big falls. So this is just an amplified version of this. What's happening, Dave? DocuSign, they've come out with an update on late last week, saying that we've hit our targets, what we said we're going to do for our growth for the period, but looking forward, instead of having 30% growth guidance, we're only going to have 20% growth guidance. So the market went, what?
Bang.
20% or 30%? Bang she goes. I mean, extraordinary move for a 10% chop in your growth rate, but you're losing 40% of your value in your company. I mean, it is almost mind-boggling what's happening over there, right? So is it, why? So when you look at the DocuSign, I'm not looking at it at the moment. I think we need to have a look at some of these, the re-rating, what's happening, what the valuations are going to be like. And we just don't know yet, but I'm looking at DocuSign, right? So they were trading on previously, before this, they were trading on over 30 times revenues, right? So it's fairly hefty, I have to say, right? It wasn't a cheap stock. Now, at $135, it's going to be trading on about 17 times, right? Revenues. which is still, I suppose, when you look at it, fairly expensive, but on 20 times growth seems decent. So maybe that's, you're going to be looking at similar type moves, similar type of rating, maybe not as violent as we've seen with DocuSign, but maybe over time. Some of these 40 times revenue stocks, Dave, are probably going to be rated back to 20 or below.
Okay, well, let's talk about NTO because it's following DocuSign.
Yep, which makes no sense, by the way, because this is, while it's in the similar space, it hasn't come up with any of the similar type of vein updates. Plus, it is cheap as chips.
So what are they trading on times?
Oh, less than 10, about 7.
Okay, right. So logic would say, well, okay, forget the trend lines, we can't buy it.
Yeah.
But you'd look at that and you say, okay, well, you'd buy NTO. This is on sale now.
Yes.
Right? Now, but the trouble is, what we said is no, and the reason being is that valuations could possibly, because we've got interest rates going up around the world, valuations could start being re-rated of all these tech stocks.
Yeah, even further, right? So we don't know when the bottom might be. There might be a bounce this week, right? Because we've seen some of these big drops and investors come back and buy the dips, right? We could see that. But I think generally speaking now, with further evidence, there's going to be interest rate rises and so on, there's got to be some sort of re-rating. I don't care if it's coming back from 40 to 30 or from 40 to 20. Let's not jump the gun. Let's just see how things settle down. And then we're going to say, okay, I think the average now, instead of being, the higher growth stocks being put on 30 to 40 times, they're now maybe halved. So we got to see those stocks trade around that sort of level or below. So we can't predict this. We just don't know what the market's going to decide.
Right, Wolf. So we got possibly a war. We got issues in Europe. We got re-rating around the world because of inflation going up of stocks.
It's a tough market, in other words.
Yeah, and we got throwing on Omicron.
Omicron, yep, absolutely.
Now,
which almost sounds silly, Dave, but it seems like Omicron is like, yeah, forget it. It's yesterday's news.
Well, I don't think anyone's, thank God, died yet of Omicron.
Yeah.
Which is obviously a good sign.
Yeah,
fingers crossed, and so possibly the variant isn't quite as serious as the others, which could be a relief. But they don't really. The trouble is, Wolf, they don't really know yet till they've had a bigger look, and I suppose they need to give it a few months, don't they, before they know? And they don't even know if the vaccines. I mean, the UK are coming out saying, "Oh, I'll give you all another booster," but they don't even know if the vaccines work for it. So I don't know why they'd be giving everyone another booster until they find out if it actually works on it. It sounds absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, look, it's going to probably take a few weeks, right? I think the big pharmas like the Pfizer's and the Moderna saying, give us 2 or 3 weeks, at least get some preliminary data out, right? To see if there is any help whatsoever from the current vaccines. Do we need to tweak it? What the efficacy rates are and what the actual virus does. Is it light as everyone's claiming to be, right? So I think the next 3 weeks are probably going to be crucial from that. But so far, early indications are positive. So I'm hoping that Omicron is not going to be as big an issue as the previous thing. And, maybe at least that part of it, we will a little bit go on the back burner. So now we've got the bloody tech sell-off. So we've got issues coming left, right, and center, Dave. So we've got to be careful. I mean, that's the sort of unfortunate position where we're in at the moment of the markets, Dave. It's looking a little bit weak. There's a few issues. And is there a central rally coming? I'm not so sure.
You don't believe in Santa, do you, Wolf?
Dave,
I think we'll know by Wolf. We'll know by the end of this week, right? So,
yeah, we probably will.
Like I said, we're right on trend lines. Mm-hmm. We're holding above. Let's see if there is some good news that we can bounce. But I do feel even if we do have a Santa rally, that might be all it might be is just a little rally for even tougher times ahead in January and February. Wolfie, that just brings me back to the dividend plays. We spoke about a number of dividend stocks. So nothing wrong with this market where you're getting 1% in the bank. These dividend plays we spoke about yesterday are very, very good. Now, one of your calls there was Metcash, which I thought I had a good announcement today. And even up their dividends.
Yeah, absolutely. Not a bad, steady as she goes. in this market, I'll take that. Thank you very much. You know, bank a nice 4-5% dividend in the as well. So all up, that's the sort of stories are probably going to be attractive to those investors that are putting some money into cash. So instead of having, like you said, 1% in the bank, maybe spread some risk and put some money into these 4% dividend plays, which seem pretty steady.
Well, on that note, I think it's interesting. It's a very tough world at the moment. It's interesting. It's you know, I don't think trending stock, you know, things aren't really trending in the market. I think there's some good stories. I certainly think that PRO, you know, I saw that, you know, Emit was growing by 800%. It's not an expensive stock. You could see this one possibly holding trend and going on. But even on a hot stock, I put a stop loss even on this at the moment, because I think the market, you just got to be so careful at the moment. And
very nice of you, Dave.
But I think the story does look very, very, very interesting. On that note, Wolf, I suppose have a good day.
we gave the doom and gloom to everyone, didn't we?
Yeah.
But, you know, I think we've got to sometimes comment on these sort of things, because, you know, we got to be aware of what's going around. We can't just have our head in the sand. So, and themes and trends change, right? So we follow the trends and themes. So if the tech space is not trending, there's a re-rate. We got to be aware of that and act accordingly. So you know, portfolio wise, if it's below trends, if it's not quite there, you got to get out, because the chances are it could go lower and lower and lower until the market says, okay, we're happy now, we're going to start buying again. But by that time, the stock could be 50% down, like we've seen with DocuSign, right? So that's why you got to protect yourself first and foremost, and follow the markets, watch for the signs.
Well, on that note, Wolf, thank you very much, and have a good day.
Absolutely. Thank you,
See
guys.
you, Wolfie. Bye. Bye.